I remember you well in the Chelsea hotel. You were talking so brave and so sweet, giving me head on the unmade bed while the limousines wait in the street. And those were the reasons, and that was New York. We were running for the money and the flesh. And that was called love for the workers and song. Probably still is for those of them left. But you got away, didn't you, babe? You just turned your back on the crowd. You got away, I never heard you once say, I need you, I don't need you, I need you, I don't need you, and all of that jiving around. I remember you well in the Chelsea hotel. You were famous, your heart was a legend. You told me again you preferred handsome men, but for me you would make an exception. And clenching your fists for the ones like us who are oppressed by the figures of beauty, you fixed yourself, you said never mind, we are ugly but we have the music. But you got away, didn't you, babe? You just turned your back on the crowd. You got away, I never heard you once say, I need you, I don't need you, I need you, I don't need you, and all of that jiving around. I don't mean to suggest that I loved you the best. I can't keep track of each fallen robin. I remember you well in the Chelsea hotel. That's all, I don't even think of you that often. Thank you.
A wonderful treat. So Stuart, perhaps remind us where you are, when, and you've got some extra dates.
Yes, we're in the Rainy Hall, which is in the Assembly Halls on the Mound here in Edinburgh. We play every night at 6:15 p.m, except we're doing extra shows on the 20th and 21st of August, which are at 4:30 in the afternoon, and then we're doing another one after that at 6:15. You see, we're starving musicians, so we thought to ourselves, 2 shows in the one go, you know? So, yes, we're doing 2 shows on those 2 nights, the 20th and the 21st.
Excellent. Right, give a big round of applause, please, for Leonard Cohen.
Thank you very much, David, for having us on the show. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. Right, our next guest, interesting comedian, when I read the brief. Could we please invite up onto the stage Geoff Norcott. Thank you. I was intrigued. There's not many politically motivated comedians these days. Perhaps you could tell me, because is it true that you have come out of the political closet as a Tory comedian, and why?
Yeah, I am a comedian that votes Conservative. We got any other Tories in? That's a pretty standard reaction.
In Edinburgh, very few.
I think voting Conservative is a bit like buying a James Blunt album, do you know what I mean? You know for a fact millions of other people must have done it, but weirdly, you never seem to meet one.
Yes, indeed. Nobody will admit it. So how did
certainly in Scotland.
How did that come about?
Well, it was back in 2013, and I'd done a few fringes, and I was just sort of thinking, what is the one thing maybe that makes me hopefully unique? And my wife said to me, well, you vote Conservative. That's a bit odd, isn't it, given that you're a working class lad from a council estate. You know, your dad was a trade union man. So I've done a couple of shows where I've dipped my toe in the water of that, and this is the first show where I've gone all out, and the show is called Conservative, and but it's more of I don't know if it's me. I'm certainly not trying to win anybody over. I wouldn't do that this far north. It's more a case of trying to explain how I got to this point in the first place.
Right. And so I noticed you've also been on quite a few successful TV shows. Live at the Apollo, is that
No,
correct?
I haven't been on them. I just wrote for them.
You wrote
See,
some
when you write wing, that's about as far as I let
8
you
out
go.
of 10 cats. And now the ultimate, you're now on Edinburgh Fest Live.
This is one of my first ever TV appearances. You're taking a real risk letting a right-wing comic on. But it's a right-wing, I think, implies something a bit stronger than what I am. I mean, in a way, part of the point of the show is just to say, given the kind of year that we've had in politics, is I think that, you know, you could be a Conservative voter, you could be a Leave voter, and it doesn't mean you're necessarily a sort of malicious
Doesn't
person.
make you a bad person.
It does. I mean, it's a hint, let's be honest. There's a suggestion, but yeah, the point of the show is more to have fun with it. I would say I'm not like a massively serious political comic. For me, it's more about anecdotes and how your life experiences end up with your political compass being set.
So can you give a flavour of your Edinburgh show for our audience, both here and at home?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things I talk about is the fact that it's not a massively ideological choice. I think British democracy is often about the least bad of two options, isn't it? I mean, I think it's a bit like getting waterboarded, but you get a choice between sparkling or still, and that's about the extent of the choice. And I think, you know, even here in Scotland, you know, when you're trying to write a show, I mean, I called the show Conservative, and I picked that title in February. And do you think if I'd have known everything that was going to happen between then and now, that I would have gone for such an incendiary title at a liberal arts festival? I would have gone for something slightly less provocative, like I love shooting lions in the face, maybe. Just a poster of me dressed as a dentist. So, and even here in Scotland, you know, I mean, the old... Because finding a Scottish Tory used to be a euphemism for something that didn't exist, and yet, you know, in May, 22% of Scots voted Conservative at the Scottish elections, and you think, well, all Scottish conservatism needed all along was a charismatic lesbian with a sense of humour, you know? And Sue Perkins was busy, so... I know people feel tender. He said lesbian there. Is that all right? It's absolutely fine. I've checked with a lesbian.
Well, we're still looking for the charismatic part. The charismatic part seems to have missed us.
Yeah.
So do you...
Are you not a fan of Ruth?
I've met her a couple of times, but the show's not about me.
Let's have a fight. I mean, I'm surrounded by Scottish.
I know. That wasn't deliberate. Look, there is one to make you feel at home just behind there. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I can relax now.
The token union flag. So it's a political slant show that you've brought up and to Edinburgh. How's it going down?
Well, it seems to... At first, I set myself realistic goals. Given the nature of my politics, my room holds 42 people, which I think exhibits the standard Conservative value of cutting your cloth accordingly. You know, did the market research, and I was never going to go for 100.
I think that's their whole members, actually, in Scotland. I think
that
it's about 44,
well, they're doing better up here, but I knew this would end up as a fight. It's going okay. I think people are coming. What's really nice is that it's crucial to me that liberal left-leaning types come, because, to be honest, it gives the show its creative tension. I had one audience the other day, and it's brilliant that Conservative voting people are coming, but it was mainly Conservative voters, and it is in danger at that point of becoming a bit of a rally, to be honest. It's you need people sitting there getting angry, people who want to heckle me, and by the way, what I've done is I'm aware that I'm not preaching to the choir, so what I've done is I've built in a heckle amnesty 2/3 of the way through my show, so there's probably some people right now who'd like to crack on, but I just thought, you know, it'll give lefties a chance to have their say, because if there's one thing this festival needs more of, it's lefties having their say, isn't it? Of course. It's crucial that we give them a voice.
So, I mean, with everything that's happened you're quite right, everything seems to have changed in the last few months, and nothing is a surprise anymore. It doesn't matter what comes out in the news, it doesn't seem to surprise anybody. So what do you think this Brexit is going to do to political humour? Do you think it's going to make...
Well, I think that the first wave of it was there was a lot of ridicule of people who'd voted Leave, and it was made out in a way to be almost a minority opinion. And, you know, I mean, I voted Leave, you know, and the day afterwards I was being characterised online. First up I was racist, the next day I was uneducated, then I was just thick, and I thought, guys, I wish you'd make up my mind for me, you know, I'm just waiting. I think we're in a better place now, to be honest. I think that because half of the people who wanted to leave, I think of the people that wanted to remain, people want to be sent a positive message, like not so much the anger, but how is this going to be okay? And I think there's also a mood more to listen to each other, and I think that's one of the things of the show is you can't just mute other opinions, because how can you change an opinion if you've stopped talking?
And so what sort of reaction have you had from the audience and for the show?
It's funny, the Brexit thing is probably the spikiest thing, despite being a less minority opinion than can vote Conservative, you know what I mean? I mean, even up here in Scotland, what was it, about 35% of people voted Leave, which means if you had a room of 10 people, 3.5 would have voted. I mean, that half person would have been really torn.
Oh dear.
Sorry. But it's just to say that if you walked into a room with those sort of numbers, it wouldn't feel like a massively overwhelming majority, would it? It'd feel like a decent number of people. And I think that, you know, it's like in the States where, you know, I think that the moment you stop speaking to each other, I think it gives space for radical opinions to flourish. And this whole trend now on social networking of people muting opinions that don't square with theirs.
I'm much nicer on social media than in real life.
That's rare.
I'm told it's quite rare.
Yeah.
I'm told it's quite rare, yeah. So I try never to use profanity. I always try to use humour to deflect people that are criticising me. And I think one of my friends saw this and says, "You're very polite on Twitter. It's not like you at all."
Well, it has become very incendiary, and I think that there's a problem. You know, I think both right and left have a problem. Maybe the left has a problem with being a bit too keen to sort of pat themselves on the back just for reading The Guardian.
So for the audience both here that might be interested in going and getting him stuck into some politics and at home across the UK, where and when can people find your show?
So it's 7:10 at the Underbelly Medquad, which is just off the Teviot Square, I think, near the Gilded Balloon. And it's at 7:10 every night up to August the 29th. Apart from the 15th, that's the one day off.
Have a big round for Geoff Norcott, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
That's us for our second part. In part 3, we've got an absolute delight. If you've not seen it before, you're in for a bit of a shock. We've got our very own Hairy Mary. That's in a couple of minutes.